Let's welcome Diane to the programme. Diane, what's the situation in Scotland with respect to the election then?
Thanks, Mike and Brian, Mark. I'm happy to be here today. So in Scotland, an interesting thing happened, which I think maybe has become a little bit ignored or maybe not noticed in the overall results of the election, which is that the SNP has basically been thrown out. 36 SNP seats have been changed to Labour, which you can see there in a couple of graphics that we've got displayed. You can see it was quite a significant difference. SNP is basically out. There's now 39 seats of SNP. And an interesting comment that I heard from someone else on Friday when we were discussing election results is that the failures of the Scottish government can no longer blame Westminster for the failures because it's all gone to Labour now. So I thought I would as well look a little bit around education as kind of the educator here at the UK column team, and look a little bit at what Labour has said they would do, which actually is not that much. It was certainly not a priority in the manifesto, but I think I will look at this as well as the new Education Secretary. So you see a couple of the top priorities here, according to the manifesto. One at the bottom is that they are going to recruit 6,500 more teachers, which they plan to do by basically putting VAT back onto private schools, and that they're going to introduce free breakfast schools at every primary school in England. Still not entirely clear how they're going to fund that. We also see some other issues with education that they talked about: qualification levels, reforming Ofsted, improving maths in nursery and primary schools, reviewing the curriculum to make it broader and give more children more opportunities, and turn further education colleges into what they call technical excellence colleges and improve apprenticeships. And that's actually something that I want to look into some more because I don't know at this point what that is. So, of course, who's going to lead all this? Well, it was the shadow education secretary, now the Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson. So I thought it was worth looking at her a little bit and who she is and what she stands for. She is an MP for the city of Sunderland. She's relatively young. I think she's 40 years old. She read history at Oxford, and she's been in office since 2010, first as an opposition whip, and has been on various committees. So if we look at what else she's been doing during this time so far, going back to Israel again, we see that there were some issues with her potentially having an advisor visiting Israel as part of this organization called ELNET, which is the European Leadership Network, which is supposedly nonpartisan. But what we see is that Keir Starmer has potentially been involved in this. Gareth Thomas, Wes Streeting, the new Shadow Health Secretary, which was somebody mentioned Debbie mentioned on Friday around the health issues related to Wes Streeting, that they have all potentially had connections with this organization where they got introduced to the Iron Dome, they got introduced to an IDF briefing, and there were Israel politicians that told these delegations, for example, quote, and this was from the article that was just showed, which will be in the show notes: "What the Arabs need to understand is that we're here now and they need to get over it." And so there's questions around, are they really nonpartisan, and why were they there, and what is the funding going on? There's apparently very rich people behind American millionaires and billionaires sort of helping to fund this Israeli organization and so on. So that needs some more investigation. In terms of her globalist perspective, I thought I would look into that a bit. So Bridget and climate, she signed up to the UN climate change pledge several years ago. So again, just going along with the climate issue, the UN sustainable goals and so on. Also the Great British Energy, which is another part of the Labour manifesto. She is strongly in support of that. Again, I don't know how that's going to work. Again, we need some more investigation into how all this clean power is actually going to power the nation. Bridget and women. This is something as a woman, of course, that I want to focus on. So she said that she has in the past supported the UN Women Agency, which I think historically at least was set up supposedly to support women and girls and equality and access to education and so on, which of course I completely support. But the question is, what is UN Women really doing? So one of the things that they did during Pride Month, which thankfully is over now in July, in June, they posted about LGBTIQ plus people on the move. So regardless of your sexual preferences or anything else, I don't see what this has to do specifically with women, but this was about migrants and LGBTIQ plus people and what that meant for the migrants. So I'm not sure how that relates to women. And I have a video clip here. Please bear with us. It's both funny and painful at the same time. When we had Bridget interviewed about trans women and toilets, if we could play that clip, please, Brian, Mike.
The trans woman with a penis would use which lavatory? Well, look, I think it's important that all people feel safe and have dignity and
but she needs to go to the lavatory. Which one does she use?
But I think there are a range of options that would.
Well, she hasn't got a range of options, respectfully. She's got a door with a woman on it. She's got a door with a bloke on it. Which one does she go in, Bridget Phillipson?
Well, many businesses and many public buildings also provide the option.
Yes, sadly, this restaurant only has one with a picture of a woman and a picture of a man. So which door does she go through?
Well, I would expect they would have a range of different options.
No, this restaurant doesn't. It's just got the two. So which one does she use?
I would want people to treat one another with respect.
She needs to use the lavatory, Shadow Secretary of State. Which one is she to use?
I would hope that person, whoever they would happen to be, trans person, it's not clear, would.
Well, it is. It's a trans woman with a penis, and she's desperate to go to the loo, and she's really getting desperate now.
I wouldn't want that person to feel at risk. Equally, I wouldn't want biological women to feel intimidated.
So where does she go?
Space. It's about seeking common sense solutions and being practical about it. I would hope that they might be able to, for example, try and find a compromise where no one.
So she's got to leave the restaurant to find somewhere else, is what we're saying.
No, I would expect that a business would provide a range of different options so that all people, biological women and trans women, can find a way so that no one feels that their safety or dignity is compromised. And I do think where it comes to trans people within our society, I understand the challenges that the long process that many people will have gone through in order to be recognised in a gender different to the biological sex into which they were born. That is not a short process, that is an extensive.
But you seem to have checked earlier this week, you said she should use the female toilet, didn't you?
So welcome to our new Education Secretary. I don't know if you gentlemen have any comments on that.
Well, we were commenting on it while the video was playing, saying, would you allow a woman like this to run education? And my answer would be no, because she's devious, disingenuous. She doesn't want to answer the question. And that's because the policy agenda is more powerful than common sense. So I wouldn't want this woman near any child of any age.
Indeed. Okay, let's